Okay, g'day guys, welcome back. We are going to take on the Gammas, which I've chosen because it's the only superclass enemy that Red Zone offers. And in turn, we're bringing what I guess is probably close to the best villain team in the game. I guess we're scraping the bottom of the barrel to a certain degree. Not that the villains are terrible, but I mean the scope or range of which we have to choose from is incredibly sparse at the moment, unfortunately. So Terrifying Conquerors is pretty much all that it is. Whether you want the Piccolo to lead, whether you want the Cooler, there's two Coolers really that lead it for 170, both the TUR and the LR that's shown here. Yeah, I've opted to go with the LR Cooler lead as opposed to the Piccolo, simply because the Piccolo, with this kind of team setup, which is probably where we'd end up being close to or thereabouts anyway. He leads less of the team for 200% as what the Cooler does. Obviously, that means he is not 200%, but I've just opted to go this direction. You might choose to go differently, which would be completely understandable. Bojack here needs 5 orbs each turn to make sure that he's got his full passive. We're going to get those hits in now while Frieza has his max damage reduction. He needs 5 to increase his ki and attack. He needs to attack 5 times, I believe it is, to get his extra defense. And obviously needs to be above 50% himself. The LR Coolers are just going to go berserk. They're pretty flexible to a degree. We can float them if we need. Ideally, we leave them on rotation to sort of chew through the enemy's HP as quickly as possible. At least having one on rotation with the Easy A TUR Cooler would be ideal. But another reason the Gamma stage is kind of interesting for this team, whereas some others aren't so much, is that typically speaking, STR Cooler, the Easy A, doesn't support Metal Cooler or Int Piccolo, simply because he supports Terrifying Conquerors only when he's facing 2 or more enemies. The rest of the time it's Transformation Boost, which the aforementioned units don't obviously have as a category. So when we're in the final phase, should Metal Cooler and or Int Piccolo be on turn with the STR Cooler, he'll be supporting them for 50%, which he doesn't usually do. Same with the Bojack, actually, by the way. He's not Transformation Boost either, I don't think. Could be wrong about that. I think because he's a group unit, he doesn't have the category. I'll have to triple check. But yeah, this guy here has... he's really kind of the only revitalization that villain units have seen since the last worldwide celebration, which is coming up to a year old, really. So since all those cooler units came out, or Easy Aid, Piccolo's the only thing since. The fact that he's on their team is a blessing. It would have been very, very difficult to find any buffs otherwise, had that Piccolo maybe even been like, you know, let's just say, for example, I mean, Omega just came out on JP, but a part of a different category, and I think that speaks to what the point I was trying to make is that, like, releasing villain units like Omega, where there is no kind of help for them, like, honestly, we need Inhuman Deeds. It's a category that has been absolutely starved of not just units, but leaders. When the category first came out with Nappa and Vegeta, the LR, which was years ago, and that was 130% leader, much like LR Baby was to Artificial Life Forms. Artificial Life Forms didn't see a 170 leader until significantly later when they got that exchange boo. But since Inhuman Deeds came with Nappa and Vegeta, we've gotten one extra leader since. It was the 7th anniversary Giant Ape Saiyan Saga Vegeta on the top legendary summon banner, and he's only 150 leader. So we don't even have a 170 leader of any sort, let alone something that might cover things for 200%. So Inhuman Deeds is one of those villain categories where it's actually got quite a decent scope of units to choose from within it. Especially when you maybe add a different 170 alongside it to kind of broaden that. And I mean, looking at the units that are in there, you've got most of your GT bosses are in Human Deeds, your Broly units, your Freezers, your Rosés, Goku Black Rosés. So, you know, you could always mix it with time travelers or space traveling warriors if you're doing a Bojack as well. So Inhuman Deeds is a huge category. And if you did do like a Goku Black, for example, he is also on Power of Wishes, which is a and so is Zamasu. So if you had a new 200% era leader that covered hypothetically Inhuman Deeds and Power of Wishes, you'd be able to get LR Bulma onto a villains team with, you know, Piccolo is her best friend and he's on Power of Wishes. So wherever he goes, she goes in that kind of regard. But also you've got, if you wanted to keep it full villains, which I'd probably lean towards more so, is instead of LR Piccolo, which obviously is taking out one of the best possible units you can take, putting in Broly, Chile, and Lemo is another really good option for Inhuman Deeds. Sorry, for Power of Wishes, I should say. Because you've got Bulma, the Orb Changer, they link quite well with each other. And then she's almost guaranteeing, save for a bit of bad luck, that the Broly trio will get their 7 orbs, so they're guaranteed to dodge. With big bad bosses, they can easily go slot 2 as well, and then provide big bad bosses to any floating units that you're doing in a villain-centric team. So that's a good way to sort of buff villains, I believe. A Demon King Piccolo, to sort of segue into the Piccolo Jr. that we're showcasing today on this team. Piccolo Jr., Demon King Piccolo is Power of Wishes category unit as well as Terrifying Conquerors. So that's a way to maybe bring Bulma into the sort of LR Cooler stratosphere, which would be absolutely mental. But I'm pretty sure we can do that anyway with the Z Duo, Final Trump Card and Power of Wishes. Yeah, you could get the Cooler rotation with Bulma on the other turn. Might give that a go at some point. But if I'm kind of talking more villain, like trying to go as much villains as possible plus LR Bulma, she's just that good, and the way that she just makes everyone better across both turns is just something you can't just disregard it. But speaking of Piccolo Jr., this is probably as much of a showcase as you'll see of him this coming turn. Obviously, we're going to see his giant form. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of video editing here, and I'm going to trim out most of it. I'll get the key and do one super attack here, but then I'll just show how many turns that he was out for, and then when he goes back in, just to kind of keep things a little bit smoother. The giant forms can get a little bit boring in terms of viewing experiences at times, I feel. But obviously it's free damage, and it's not to be taken for granted that he's going to be doing, I think it's like 2 million each attack, and it's basically, so providing he doesn't do any additionals, that's just shy of 6 million damage each turn. I think he ended up going for about 3 turns here. Yeah, 1, 2, that'll be the third, and then he de-transformed. So what's that? Just shy of 18 mil, let's call it 16 mil, which was all effective versus all types with a chance to crit. Now we're going to use his active skill in slot 3 here because he does get a passive activation for being in slot 2 or 3 when he attacks. So this active skill will cover that. Any of his build-up attacks that are needed to finish off his passive, this would be included as well. It'll action break 2 out of the 3 attacks in slot 1. So he'll still be able to move to slot 1 where he'll get an extra passive activation. Like he's one of those kind of like the Blue Fusions from the 50th year anniversary. Use their active skill in one slot, put him in another, and he gets this whole passive. So he'll still get that slot 1 hit as well from Gamma 2 there, to give him the temporary 40% attack and defense per turn when being hit. We'll use Golden Freezes just for the hell of it. This is a bit of a wet blanket of a kind of active skill, I find. Because he doesn't stack and he has no built-in crit or effective versus all types, he kind of doesn't have too much reason for this to do great deals of damage, I guess. We do have his passive active, I'm pretty sure, from taking 5 hits, or we might not, but either way, yeah, it's a bit of a fizzle, I guess. But we'll float him off there. He would at what was turn 5. Can't remember which turn he came about. I think he might have been last turn. So he still should have like 70% defense. 70% damage reduction. If not, it's 50. It would be, I'd imagine, give or take. I'm not sure. But here goes Piccolo Jr. now. So just, I don't even need to go through exactly how much of his passive is active. It's way too much math. But he just did, 12 and then 13. He's nuts. He's absolutely crazy. It's a shame he's not effective versus all types in this regard because he's not against a singular enemy. But, I mean, look at that. He just did, 30-something, probably pushing 40 closer than it would be 30 in a single turn. And I think there was even the possibility of maybe the hidden potential coming after that. But being 55% and only having skill orbs to rely on in that regard, it wasn't forthcoming. That's a shame. But, I mean, yeah. Cooler's also just being completely outclassed here. Like, I mean, he's not fully built up. But he has far more links active. it's a shame. It makes Cooler look really average. Watching Piccolo do that, and then watching Cooler try and basically catch up, I guess. I mean, that's when his additional looks far more respectable. But yeah, Piccolo really kind of just turned on the jets there and left Cooler in the dust. What's Frieza up to? He's doing 4.7. I can't remember what HP threshold we're at, because he gets his additional super if he's over 50% as well. We obviously weren't, so oh well, that's fine. We're quite low on HP, so this could get risky. Well, we've got Cooler's active skill, which will take out that first slot attack. He should be fully built up. Well, if he's got his active skill, he'd be within a turn, I think, or within an attack of being fully built up. Can't remember what the criteria for that is. Do a shitload of attacks, and then you'll do active skill. Cool, easy. His passive is the same. Do a shitload of attacks, and it's going to be active. 10 attacks total for the passive. I do know that. So we might leave. Yeah, we'll leave the rotation like this because I want him to have legendary power. I kind of want to see him at his pinnacle, I guess. But Bojack, I want to quickly give credit to Bojack there, who just floats around, does his thing, changes orbs, defends well, attacks well. He's one of my favorite Easy A's, and when that STR Bojack Easy A's, which, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibilities anymore. Yeah, I think that'll be a really formidable rotation. Really, really formidable. Especially because 15.6, yeah. Woo! Especially because the STR Bojack likes having orbs. He needs 6 orbs when he's transformed to get his max passive. But yeah. Anyway, that about wraps up the showcase, guys. Let me know what you reckon about the state of villains at the moment, and what kind of leaders they could introduce to really kind of make the scope of quality to choose from in the villains sector of the game a little bit more enticing. But yeah, if you like the video, press like. If you share it. If you want to subscribe, do all the rest. I mean, if you want, I'm not your dad. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.